what is the third temple and why is it important? Well, the third temple is the temple that we await at every moment, the Beis HaMikdash Hashlishi, that will last forever. The third temple is the one that will last forever. So, what is what is the temple, and what is, if it's the third? This is the third temple. So, what's the first? What were the first and second temples? So, that we'll answer with the following: that we see in the Holy Torah, in the Tanach, the Holy Tanach, which is the Bible. We see that in a lot of places, the third temple, the temple in general, is called Beis Kel. It is called the house of Hashem. So what does that mean? Well, we gotta understand what this means. So we have a few questions. What is the temple? We said, to answer that, we started off by saying in the Holy Tanakh it's called Beis Kel, the house of God. And actually, this is also, I'll add another point in here. This is where Yaakov Avinu, our holy forefather Jacob, slept and had a dream where he saw the angels of God descending and ascending the ladders. And that is also called the house of God in that place. And that is the place where the temple was built later, in that area where Jacob had the dream. And we also have the question, why is it important, and so on. So we said it's the house of God. What does that mean, it's the house of God? Let's try to go into that, because that, I think, will answer everything. We say someone's home. When you go to someone's house, their home, you connect to their inner selves a lot more. For example, let's say there's a king of a nation, a powerful and mighty and loved king, okay? And this king, everyone in the population loves him, but he is very above and removed from the population at most moments. Then you have people higher up that maybe they can send a request through someone else to the king, perhaps. And then you have people higher up that even themselves, they may get to meet the king. And then you have even higher than that, the ministers who on a regular basis get to see the king in meetings. And then what if you have someone who is the king loves and becomes very close to the king, and the king then invites them to his own house and on a consistent basis. So that's the highest level, right? So the people who are just members of the nation, they don't see the king at all times. They fear the king, they love the king, but the king and them are such removed from one another, it seems. And you have people higher up, even up to the top, where the ministers, they get to see the king on a regular basis, but again, it's a very strict business environment and hierarchy where the king is giving them orders or asking them questions and so on, and they're just answering what the king wants from them. But then you have someone who the king invites to his own home. Then it's much deeper than just a business level, because the king wants to spend time with this person and wants to be close to this person in a personal way. And of course, the person who is invited to the home of the king gets to see the king on a much more intimate way. For example, just an example, let's say, obviously one of the higher up ministers is very close to the king and in a sense of very in contact with the king and has access if he needs to the king. But you can't compare that to, let's say, for example, the grandson of the king who is around the king at all times and sees the king in a much more vulnerable and loving way. So of course, now we bring it back to the example of the temple. And of course, God is never vulnerable or doesn't lack anything. But so to speak, he makes the world in a way that he reveals his inner self, his personal self, in an infinite way in the holy temple. And that is called the revelation of God. It's the Shekhinah, the divine presence was revealed in the first two temples, but it will be revealed in a much greater way in the third temple, because it will also last forever. The first and second temples, there was a revelation of God there, and the first more than the second in certain ways, but to both there was a divine consciousness, a consciousness of God that was experienced by those in the temple and even the world at large and those around the temple. There was a divine experience. But the third temple will be an infinite revelation of God forever and ever. And that is like getting to go to the home of the King, that Hashem will reveal himself to each and every one of us. So that is trying to answer about the third temple. And when is it coming? That is dependent on you. Every extra good deed that we do in this world accelerates the process. And the Beis HaMikdash could come today. The third temple could be revealed today. So guys, let's do an extra good deed today to bring the redemption. And please, if you would like to share with us a good deed that you're doing, it would be greatly appreciated, and it could inspire other viewers to do good deeds as well. So thank you so much. May Hashem bless you all. Mashiach now.